You're a big cops.
Really funny. Really funny.
What do you mean I'm funny?
It's funny, you know. It's a good story. It's funny. You're a funny guy.
What do you mean? You mean the way I talk? What?
It's just, you know, you're just funny. It's funny, you know, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how? I mean, what's funny about it?
Tommy, no, you got it all wrong.
Oh, Anthony. He's a big boy. He knows what he said. What'd you say?
You're right.
Funny how?
Just,
What?
you know, you're funny.
You mean,
So?
well, let me understand this, because maybe it's me, I'm a little fucked up, maybe. But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
No, just, you know how you tell the story. What?
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the fuck am I funny? What the fuck is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Get the fuck out of here, Tommy.
You motherfucker! I almost had him! You stuttering prick here! Frankie, was he shaking? I wonder about you sometimes, Henry. You may fold under questioning.
It's Two Dads, One Movie. It's the podcast where two middle-aged dads sit around and shoot the shit about the movies of the 80s and 90s. Here are your hosts, Steve Paulo and Nick Brianna. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
And today we're moving from the 1980s into the 1990s in our Two Dads, Two Decades exploration of both decades. And for the year 1990, we have chosen the Martin Scorsese crime classic GoodFellas, starring Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, and Joe Pesci, a bunch of other people. I mean, it's almost like this cast is just
Loaded.
absolutely ridiculous. So this was my pick for us, and you know, I'll say I remember how old I was when I first saw this because I think it was sophomore year of high school, so it would have been right around maybe 1996. I got into a kind of a funk, not a funk, but I got into like a phase of like watching a lot of Quentin Tarantino, you know, a lot of Martin Scorsese, a lot of Francis Ford Coppola. Like that's the year that I first saw like Reservoir Dogs, and I saw this, and I saw The Godfather for the first time. And it was just kind of in that like era for myself of discovering these movies. And Goodfellas was like my favorite kind of mobster crime movie for a long time. So much in this movie is just absolutely classic. This is one my wife loves. She actually, we were just talking about it last night. A couple years ago, she decided she wanted to watch this movie. And then every time a song came on, she would figure out, find it and add it to a Spotify playlist. Mm-hmm. So she's got this huge, because there's so much music in this movie, a huge playlist of all like 50s and 60s, like Motown and doo-wop and kind of that stuff that you know, is from this movie in a single playlist, which is fantastic. But yeah, Goodfellas is just, you know, it's going to be kind of hard, I feel, in a lot of ways to like, quote, review this movie because it's Goodfellas, for God's sake, you know? So what's your experience with Goodfellas, Nick?
Yeah, I think I got into it around the same time. And it was during that, like, Pulp Fiction's out. And you start caring about what's a good movie. What are the classics? You know, what's the stuff that I was a little too young for when it came out and catching up on that. But this was great. I remember watching this with my brother a bunch and watch it with my parents. I think we got a tape of it at some point.
Hey.
This was like early, like mid 90s, yeah, probably around 96. So Blockbuster, I was starting to buy some used tapes and all that stuff.
Perfect.
So quotable.
Yep.
There's so many things about this that I think about. Like, this is one of those few movies where I think about the characters outside the context of the movie sometimes. Like, so many things just really tend to come alive with this film. And it's been a while since I've revisited it. Yeah. And I'm really glad I did. And I'm psyched to chat about this one today.
Absolutely. Let's jump into the facts on Goodfellas because there's a lot of good stuff in here. All right. The movie Goodfellas came out on September 19th, 1990 with an R rating, obviously, and a running time of 145 minutes, which might be the longest movie that we've covered on the pod. I'm not positive, but it's up there for sure. Directed by the incomparable Martin Scorsese, written by Nicholas Pileggi and Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, and Joe Pesci. Scores on Rotten Tomatoes a 93%. Not even sure how anybody didn't give a positive review to this thing, but apparently 7% of reviewers did.
Yeah.
Weirdos. On IMDb, an 8.7, which is astronomical. It is the 17th highest rated movie on IMDb. Of all movies on IMDb, it is number 17, which is pretty wild.
Wow.
And then Siskel and Ebert with 2 thumbs up, which again, not a surprise. Awards. This movie, I'm not going to go into all of them, but this movie won 44 total awards. 44 awards this movie won. It won, at the 1991 Oscars, it won Best Supporting Actor. Joe Pesci won Best Supporting Actor for his role in this movie, but it was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Editing, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actress for Lorraine Bracco. None of them won though.
Rough to not win Best Picture.
Yeah,
looking back, you know, me and the boys always hanging out quoting Dances with Wolves to each other.
That's a great movie too, though. But anyway, at the 91 BAFTA Awards, however, which we know are sort of the British Oscars, it did win for Best Film, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, Best Costume Design, and Best Editing. Whew. It was also nominated for a pair of Guild Awards, the DGA Award for Best Director. Scorsese was nominated there, and the WGA Award for Best Adapted Screenplay, nominated there as well, no wins. It was also nominated for 5 Golden Globes with no wins. And like a lot of the movies we cover, was added to the National Film Registry in the year 2000, which is one of the earliest, I think, entries.
Relative to when it came out, exactly. For sure.
On a budget of $25 million, it made $47 million at the box office, which is kind of a disappointment. It's just under 2 times what it cost. That is in our disappointment category. And I think interesting to note, the movie we watched last week, Roadhouse, which, you know, let's face it, is not exactly a work of great cinema, was able to pull in a little bit better, you know, kind of like relative numbers at the box office, which kind of surprised me. But yeah, 25 million to do a movie of this scope for $25 million bucks is impressive as hell.
And it all went into like technical things that made this look so good, you know, and wow. What a job. I will never forget the look of Tommy DeVito's face coming off near the end. That effect was fantastic. Okay, so this is GoodFellas. Let's jump into it. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Boy. Okay. So this movie starts, we are driving down the highway in a Pontiac Grand Prix owned by one Mr. Henry Hill, played by Ray Liotta. Next to him is Jimmy Conway, played by Robert De Niro. And in the back seat is Tommy DeVito, played by Joe Pesci. So the 3 of them are driving along, and there is a banging racket coming from somewhere in the car. And at first they think, did we hit something? Is it a flat? Like, what's going on? So they pull off the side of the highway, off into the woods, it almost seems. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they have to sort of like, you know, there's noise coming from the trunk. And so Tommy's got a knife, and you know, Henry's got the keys, and they kind of gingerly open things up, and there is a man in the trunk of this car struggling and yelling or trying to, but he's beaten, like, oh my God, beaten senseless, whatever. Yeah. And Tommy is like, this motherfucker won't die. And he starts stabbing him over and over again. At which point we get a little bit of like a freeze frame, and Ray Liotta's voice, Henry Hill's, goes, "As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster." And it might not be literally the first thing said in the movie, because they talk a little, you know, in the car, but for like a real opening line of a movie, one of the best ever. And then going right into the music, and like, it's beautiful. Yep. And it drags you right into it. So now we're in a flashback into like the 50s. This said it was 1970.
Yes, right.
And now we're going back to like 55 or something like that.
And the first hour of this 2.5 hour long movie is in flashback. We don't get back to that moment on the highway for a full hour. So for the next hour, we are getting backstory that leads us up to this. It's almost, in a way, like the longest cold open in the history, but not quite, because we do get the title card and stuff. But
so we get a flashback, and we get young Henry. Great casting, by the way. Like a lot of places in this film, the young Pesci is
perfection.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. So the young Henry is great. And, you know, kind of talking about where he's growing up and stuff. And, you know, they're in a poor area in New York, and they're Italian family. His dad's Irish. His mom's from Sicily.
That's right.
And there's like some Italian kind of mob type guys across the street. Tutti Cicero has like a cab stand or something. And so there's always some activity around there.
That's right. And one of the first, so we see Henry sort of watching out the window. He's learning about these guys. He says he always wanted to be with them.
Yeah.
They were clearly like, they ran the neighborhood. Nobody messed with them. They could double park in front of a hydrant. Nobody would bother him. They'll get no tickets, whatever. So he starts from an early age just idolizing this group of men down at the cab stand. One of whom we've seen, as we have seen many people in this movie, in the film or in the series The Sopranos. So I noticed right away, the actor Tony Sirico, who played Paulie Walnuts in The Sopranos. I don't know if his name might have been Tony as well in this. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But the thing that I noticed that made it clear to me that's who that is that he points with both the index and pinky finger, like Paulie Walnuts does throughout the series of The Sopranos. And this guy points the same way. And it's like, oh my God, that's Tony Sirico. But there are how many, I mean, you looked this up too, Nick, how many people were in this movie and at least one episode of The Sopranos?
27.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's wild. This movie is one of those movies with a ton of actors in it because there's a lot of characters, and there's characters at different stages in
during the
lives.
credits. I mean, the cast is incredibly large
wild
in this movie, but this isn't just like side extras. This is people with speaking parts in this movie for the most part who had like significant roles in The Sopranos.
Absolutely.
So yeah, really cool to see that.
Yep.
And God, I mean, the scene of the glamorizing this, because where Henry lives, you know, he's in a little apartment that's very small for his family.
Yeah.
His dad seems to have, you know, not that great of a job. He's taking it out on the wife and kids and everything. So he's looking for something better. He's inspired by these guys who seem to have a little class and get a little respect in the neighborhood when everyone else, including his dad, probably is shit on as he's observing.
Yeah. Do we know what neighborhood they're in? I don't think we ever quite got. Is this like Staten Island, Bronx, Brooklyn? Like I can't actually tell. Queens? I don't know where they are.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, it's not Manhattan. I feel like that's the only thing I feel confident about. Is they're not living in Manhattan, but you know, it's one of the outer boroughs. But yeah, so this is so we get introduced because basically Henry starts working like a job after school initially at the cab stand, making a little money. You know, he's parking guys' cars and like doing whatever. But over time, it seems like even quickly, he just stops going to school. And the cab stand is like not just an after school job, it's an everyday, all day job because he wants in on this life. And he knows that by being good and doing what he's told that he can get that. We get him introduced to a couple of very important characters throughout the movie. One, Jimmy Conway, who's Irish. We say, you know, we hear right that Henry is half Irish. His mom's Sicilian, his dad's Irish. Jimmy is just Irish. He's an Irish American. But he's got connects and he's got ins and he's willing to do things. And so he sort of acts as an associate, a soldier associated with this crime family here. But he's played by Robert De Niro, and even the young version of Jimmy is Robert De Niro. He just like kind of, I don't know if they use makeup or whatever, they darkened his hair or whatever, but it's just like he's a younger Jimmy.
Scorsese loves pretending that De Niro is way younger than he really is.
Yeah, it's true. But the other person that he gets introduced to, Tommy DeVito, who as an adult will be played by Joe Pesci, but here is this young guy. I don't know the actor, but not only do they got a guy that looks a lot like Pesci, and really you could say, yeah, that guy will grow up to look like Pesci, but he sounds like him. He clearly hung out.
Sounds like him so much, and I love
Tommy,
that he says Hendry. He says Hendry instead of Henry. I really enjoy that. So Henry though, like you said, like he was being truant from school and his mom got a letter. His dad beat him up, you know, for him not going to school. And he takes that to the mob guys and their solution is, okay, we're going to intimidate your mailman and tell him he can't deliver another letter to your house. Awesome. You know, there's a couple lines from Henry here, like his dad's beating him up. And during the voiceover, he's like, yeah, the way I see it, everybody takes a beating sometimes.
That's right.
And the voiceovers in this film are great to just move the story along, but when it gets to explaining kind of how these guys are making money or how it is that like the mafia is working, it's so instructive and it's so like efficient throughout this movie.
This is an adapted screenplay. This was based off a book that was written about a real set of events that occurred mostly surrounding this heist at the end of the movie called the Lufthansa heist, which is one of the biggest airport heists in American history at the time. And so what Scorsese obviously and Nicholas Pileggi chose to do is like, rather than trying to show us all the detail that the book contains, let's use narration. And for the most part, it's Henry Hill. It's Ray Liotta doing the voiceover from Henry Hill's perspective. But for a chunk of the movie, we get his eventual wife, Karen, played by Lorraine Bracco. We get her perspective on stuff, and her voiceover is there. And it's so fantastic. The different feel throughout the movie of when Henry is narrating versus when Karen is narrating, and the differences there is really impressive. And again, another reason, frankly, why Bracco should have absolutely won Best Supporting Actress, like because she plays the role and she does the narration, and it's just like so good in both. And I'm shocked. You know what? I should have looked up who won in that year. I bet it'd piss me off if I knew. But yes.
So this kind of whole operation is run by Paul Cicero.
That's
Paulie
right.
Cicero. And that's Paul Sorvino.
That's right.
And we see him, and some of the things about him is that, you know, Paulie, he would only talk to one person at a time, and he wouldn't have a phone in his house or a TV. You know, he kept everything, didn't want people to hear what he was saying, you know.
Didn't even want other people to know who he was talking to. Like the whole thing. Yeah.
Good OPSEC by Paulie, honestly, like knowing what we know about the FBI and the mafia and how they'd spy on it. the explanation of it is, what Paulie does, what people don't understand about the mob is Paulie offers protection to the people who can't go to the cops. So this is how they justify to themselves.
yeah.
They're like, well, hey, yeah, there are the cops, but there's certain people who can't go there, and that's where we step in. We're just, a benevolent force in the neighborhood.
We're the cops for the people who are breaking the law.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We're the cops for the lawbreakers.
We're the cops who arrest the cops.
That's right.
But he's talking about like all the things that he sees these guys getting and how he was getting these benefits. And, I was getting to go to the front of the line at the grocery line, and people were being, respectful. And somebody carried my mother's groceries all the way home. You know why? Just out of respect. And while he's saying all this stuff, what he's doing on screen is pouring gasoline on a whole like parking lot full of cars and lighting them on fire. So he's doing a James Caan thief.
That's right. And the justification of the acts and the sort of mental dissonance between the thing that's being done and the explanation for why it was necessary is one of the most interesting sort of elements of this movie, because there's so many things that are like, well, that is just, there is no moral ground for that. Yeah, unless you believe that all is permitted, that nothing is illegal, and so the only justification is sort of revenge versus, like you do to me, so I'm going to do to you. Like then you justify it. But really, it's like they're just breaking the law constantly, and they're like destroying property, and they're just being awful. But there's all this like, yeah, well, that's the way it goes. Like it wouldn't go that way if you didn't do that. Like,
and he's speaking of this very matter of fact, like, yeah, we're doing a service to the neighborhood. We're just a business like anybody else. And so when he's talking about Jimmy, Robert De Niro, Jimmy's thing is that he like hijacks truckloads of stuff.
Yeah.
So he'll like hijack merchandise and then go, sell it real cheap.
Give a bunch of it away, even. Yeah.
Give a lot of it away. And they say that, Jimmy, we call him Jimmy the Gent, because everyone, like the way he explains the scams, it's like, yeah, we're robbing this truck, but really us. And then the truck driver's in on it, and then the dispatcher's in on it, and like all these people are involved. So really, like we're all part of the scam, and insurance covers it or whatever it is. Like somebody's paying who we don't care about.
It's the classic sort of criminal's justification for stealing things, especially when they belong to a company and not an individual. Yeah. It's like, well, look, they're insured, they're covered. Like what doesn't matter. And so we're going to pay the delivery driver, we're going to pay the security guard, we're going to pay the dispatcher. They're all going to get their beak wet. They're all going to get a piece. They're all going to be better off than they were before, and we get a shit ton of either money or loot or whatever. And so that's how they justify that. But so Jimmy steals a bunch of cartons of cigarettes and stuff, and then Henry and Tommy are selling them out of the back of a car. Look like maybe like a bunch of factory workers or something, selling them for cheap, Pall Malls, Lucky Strikes, whatever. Yeah. And some guys walk up, cops or whatever, and they arrest Henry. And I love, he's so innocent still at this point. He's just like, no, it's okay.
It's okay.
Guys, it's okay. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's okay. You're selling stolen cigarette cartons. Like, so it's okay. And that's just Tommy busts off and goes tell Paulie, hey, Henry got pinched. Mm-hmm. And they go to we see Henry's court hearing or whatever it is, and I don't remember what sentencing he got or whatever.
Nothing. I think they let him off because there was kind of a scene of his lawyer who seemed like the go-to mafia lawyer, kind of like grinning and winking at the judge, and then Henry was just walking out.
Exactly, and he thought he was in trouble. Yeah. So Jimmy walks up to him and is like stuffing cash in his pocket. He's like, "You did good." He's like, "I thought you'd be mad." Mad? Everybody gets pinched, but you followed the 2 rules. You never rat out your friends. You never say shit or something, right? Like never,
the 2 best things
keep your
in
mouth
life.
Shut. Yeah.
Never rat on your friends and always keep your mouth shut. And It's kind of like a subset of a set. The second one covers the first one.
True.
Number 2, never draw squares, and number two, never draw rectangles. Like the fuck out of here. So I think we have an idea now of a heist, like, so we're kind of grown up now.
Yeah.
Not like fully to the present of the beginning of the film, but
it's now Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci.
And
yeah,
Ray
exactly.
Liotta.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're stealing trucks coming out of the airport. So they're doing Jimmy's type of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And, again, this all works. Like these guys know, they see us coming and everything. And they steal this guy's truck in front of a diner. Of course, this guy has to come in and he blames it on 2 black guys who he doesn't say it that nicely.
No, he doesn't.
And, but this is probably realistic. And one of the things that Henry says is that if the truck drivers complain and they try to like bring the cops into it, we also control the union, so we can threaten the company with the strike. So they have all these ways to protect their rackets.
Yep, exactly.
It's very interesting.
Also, this reminds me, the reason that they hit up the airport constantly is they say, we lived right by the airport. This is our neighborhood. This is our turf. So that means, since they're talking about JFK, they live in Queens. That actually answers that question.
There we go.
Their neighborhood. But yeah, so they're doing all that. And we now cut to, well, we've got, still more Ray Liotta sort of like narration, and we're at a restaurant called the Bamboo Lounge, and it seems like it's, this is like Vesuvio in
love
Sopranos,
this
right?
place, by the way.
It's so
I want
cool.
there to be one in town.
It's
I
like
love that lighting.
It's like a tiki bar, but it
Yeah.
looks like they sell Italian food. I mean, it's the most wild place, but he's introing all the characters. And this is like all the different names for people, and like, Tommy 2 times. I'm gonna get the papers. Like he said everything twice. It's just very funny introing like the whole group. And then in the back of the restaurant, they're bringing in stolen goods. They're kind of using it as like a staging area, maybe, or like whatever. And there's a bunch of fur coats on a rack coming in. And of course, if you get another Sopranos reference, this is Vinny Pastore. Big Pussy is the guy.
Don't search this wrong in the transcript, but a very young Big Pussy.
That's very young. That's true. Yeah, he looks like he's maybe 26 or something. Like, I don't know how old he actually was at the time, but he does look young.
So one of the guys, Frenchie, who we've seen in Dumb and Dumber, he's the gas man. One of the guys who's pursuing them in Dumb and Dumber, and he's telling Henry and Jimmy about this like plane with cash on it, this Air France plane. That's right. And like, hey, I'm the security guard at the airport. Like, this is a piece of cake, 400 grand cash and everything.
Right.
So he's bringing them into some scams here.
Exactly.
And now we end up with kind of one of our best scenes in the film.
One of the earliest scenes that and almost all, and there's a good reason why Joe Pesci won the Oscar for this. So many of the like most memorable scenes in this movie revolve around his character, Tommy. And this is one of them. He's telling a story about like, I don't even remember the exact details of the story, but it was just like this thing where he's like, I kept telling the guy, like, leave me alone, whatever.
He's like talking back to the cops, and they're beating him up.
Boom, bang, whatever other stuff.
His onomatopoeia, man.
Pow, bing, pow. And he keeps, and everybody's laughing. Everybody's belly laughing, just dying laughing. And as he wraps the story up, Henry goes, God, you're funny, Tommy. You're so funny. And Tommy looks pissed at this. He goes, funny how? What do you mean I'm funny? Funny how? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? You said it. I don't know. You said it.
Yeah.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? What am I, a clown? I'm here to amuse you? Funny how? And initially Henry's laughing at him, whatever, but like Tommy looks really pissed. And for a moment, Henry's like, what are you talking about? Tommy, you tell a funny story. Like, what do you mean? He's like getting real mousy. But then he goes, get the fuck out of here. And Tommy's, I almost got him. And it's clear that like Tommy's the kind of guy that is dangerous enough and will fuck people up for little enough that when he screws with you, you can't be sure.
Even if you're like his best friend,
like,
right?
Number one brother in the world is still at danger of Tommy DeVito. Like,
it is crazy. Ray Liotta's laugh is iconic. I love the way he laughs. Nobody else laughs that way.
Yep.
So right after this scene, Tommy is approached by the owner of the Bamboo Lounge, who's telling Tommy like, hey, you're going to settle your check. You owe me $7 grand, right?
Yeah.
Bad move. I mean, if this guy knows him, that is a terrible move. And this guy is look, he's been wronged by Tommy, but he's a very unlikable character. He's very like whiny and shitty and everything. So Tommy basically breaks a bottle of champagne over that guy's head and shoves him away, and then, threatens this other server. And he says, "Oh, you talk about funny." So everyone's still laughing at all this stuff, He's like, "Oh, you want to know something funny? Last week, this guy asked me to christen his kid." And I didn't, when I was younger, when I first saw it, I didn't get the joke. I didn't understand the joke. But understanding it, like that you christen a boat by breaking the champagne bottle, I'm like, Jesus, in the moment, man, that is a great joke. I read that a lot of his like funny how that was all, it was improv.
Oh, really?
At least it was like loosely scripted and stuff.
Wow.
So just knowing that so much of that was just let Pesci cook makes me appreciate it more.
So good. And of course, Henry finishes this scene by going, you know what, Tommy? You're a funny guy.
Yeah.
And that's just like, oh, you bastard. Like, it's just it's such good, like, bro kind of humor, with each other, even though Tommy pulls a gun on him.
Yes.
Jokingly pulls a gun. That's always fun. But basically, the owner of the Bamboo Lounge is now like, he's at his wit's end. He goes to Paulie through Henry, basically. And Henry's like, look, come talk to Paulie. Maybe he can help you out. And the guy's like, look, Paulie, I need some help. He's like, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? It's Tommy. Like, he's wild. I can't control Tommy. He's like, oh, if you told him to stop, he'd stop. Yeah, but like, I'm not going to tell him to, like, basically Paulie's saying like, I'm not going to babysit even my guys. Like, fuck you. Like, deal with him. You're an adult. Deal with him. But that's when he goes, well, what if you came in on the restaurant with me? Come in the place. It's a great place. You're in there all the time. You already know how great it is. Because this way, Tommy's not going to act the same when it's Paulie's place. He's just going to be a little more respectful. Yep. And that's what this guy, I don't remember the character's name, but he's looking for it.
I wrote it down.
There you go.
Yeah, too late. I wrote it
This
down.
is what Sonny's looking for, is just like, get Tommy off my back. So Paulie goes in on him, and now we get the narration of Henry explaining, like, yeah, now that Paulie's your partner, you got a problem with the cops, go to Paulie. You got a problem with Tommy, you go to Paulie. You got a problem with the distributor, you go to Paulie. He's going to take care of everything, but he's also going to take everything.
Yeah. And his explanation of how kind of the bust out of the business goes, where it's like, well, okay, we're going to order a bunch of booze on your credit line, sell it out the back door at a discount because we're never going to pay that credit line.
Pure profit.
You know, and then once we're out of credit, we can't borrow anything else. Like we burn the place down. We light the place on fire.
Yeah. And this is also the famous part where it's like, you know, every single week you got to pay Paulie his money. Oh, you had a bad week? Fuck you, pay me. Oh, your kid's in the hospital? Fuck you, pay me. Like everything is fuck you, pay me, which ended up living far beyond this movie as like a cultural thing. It's fuck you, pay me.
Oh, for sure. Especially in rap music and stuff. I mean, that was like big time there.
Yeah.
So Tommy and Henry are kind of sitting outside of this restaurant that they've just like lit on fire with a bunch of like little kerosene rags and stuff. It's so detailed. They really almost did like individual Christmas lights of kerosene.
I wonder if you do that because then there's no single ignition point. Like it doesn't look like there's a single ignition point for the fire. It looks like it all kind of spread quickly or something. Maybe it looks less like arson that way. I'm not sure why they did that much. You know, why not just douse the thing in gasoline and just throw a match, you know, but that's how they did it. And it looks like it really smokes before it burns, you know, like, so interesting. There must have been a very specific reason why that was the method chosen.
Yeah. And it gave them a lot to do. And, and then, so they have to sit outside and like make sure that it caught properly. And, during their, time out here, Tommy is telling Henry, he's like, hey, I want to date this lady, but she said, you know, she's not going to go with me unless I bring someone for her friend. She wants to bring a friend along. Will you come date this girl?
Yeah. Cause she's Jewish, but she's prejudiced against Italians. Yeah. She won't date an Italian guy.
Can you believe that? A Jew brought prejudice against Italians. Great line in that. So this is Karen here. And Henry wants nothing to do with it. So
he's got like a job to do that night. Like he's got somewhere to be. He's supposed to meet Paulie or something, and he's just preoccupied.
He's disinterested in it.
Exactly.
So he gets dragged on the date, and this is kind of where we get the switch over of the voiceover.
Yeah, that's right. And now we get Karen,
which is just again so great. I don't know how many movies have done like the multiple voiceover to this point, but I really, really love this. He does it in Casino as well.
Yeah.
But super effective.
Absolutely. And Karen, we get her perspective that like Henry was just uninterested and kind of, you know, it was so rude and it's like whatever. And but basically Tommy and Karen's friend, they convince the two of them to double date again, even after a terrible first date. And so they agree, but then Henry stands her up.
He doesn't show up.
So it's just the three of them at dinner, and she's super embarrassed and humiliated. So she gets Tommy that you got to take me to wherever Henry is. He's at the cab stand, because of course he is. And so she gets out and is like yelling at him, and all the guys are laughing at Henry, and he's kind of like, whoa. Hey, I thought it was next weekend. Like, what are you talking about? Like you were bored. I thought you'd stand me up. Like he's trying to like play it back at her. And his voiceover comes in is kind of like, she was yelling at me. She was so angry, but she was so sexy. Like that's like when he starts liking her, and that takes us to their, I guess technically second date, since he stood her up on the what should have been the second date, and it's one of the kind of classic scenes of the movie. Yeah, one of the best single take tracking shots in movie history. For 3 full minutes, a little over 3 minutes, we are a single shot following Henry and Karen through the back door to the Copacabana. Yeah. And
I wonder how many individual actors there were in that scene. Because it's like, it's not so just going through a facility. There are people everywhere. There are interactions happening the entire way.
Well, there's a huge crowd out front that they're going past, right? And then he's saying hi to everybody. He's throwing $20 bills at everybody. And this is, 1970.
Every time you two.
Yeah.
I want to just go into places and start saying that.
This is like the mid-1960s probably at this point, and he's throwing $20 a pop at people. That's a lot of money, right? And so there's doing this stuff, and like, he gets in, and there's people waiting to like get actually seated once they're inside the place. He and Karen come up, and they're carrying a table over to a blank spot in front for him to sit down and watch Henny Youngman, for all people, which is like, that's a big name.
The carrying the table and just producing a new front row seat out of the ether. I reference that probably monthly. I think about that all the time.
It's so good.
It's really good. I mean, that shot is so immersive, like walking through the Copa in the back of the kitchen, and just so how long it takes. It's just, and then it makes the arrival to the actual venue just seem so magical. Like, whoa, like this is the place to be. And we like took that route there.
And I love it. Karen asks him, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? And he goes, I'm in construction.
And then she does the hand check. The check.
Oh, you
have soft hands. Oh, I'm a union delegate.
That's right.
So they're watching Henny Youngman, and the Henny Youngman audio is happening.
Yes.
So we get Henny Youngman telling his jokes while it's showing this Air France kind of robbery they're doing. Yeah. So they're going and stealing the money, $420,000 they got from Air France.
Again, mid-60s.
With the Henny Youngman jokes going over it. I like that. I like that juxtaposition there.
Oh man. Okay. So then we get a scene where Karen has apparently brought, it looks to me like Karen has brought Henry to like her family's country club or something, tennis club, something like that. I don't know if they also live in Queens. It's a nicer part of Queens or like what, but they're somewhere in New York and clearly members of this country club. And there's a guy who says hi to Karen, this guy Bruce or whatever, kind of not hits on him, but he's clearly like does not consider Henry at all. Like, it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. Hey, Karen.
He looks very Schwimmerish.
Yeah, a little bit. Also, a lot like a couple of the guys in the Delta Chi or whatever from Trading Places, the fraternity. He looks like a couple of those guys mixed together.
Yep.
But and I literally wrote in my notes, Bruce, don't hit on Karen. This is gonna go bad for you.
Yeah, and Karen's voiceover here, she says about Henry, like why she likes him. You know, he was exciting. He was nice. People wanted to be nice to him, and he knew how to handle that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Like she kind of knew he wasn't this fully, like she didn't believe that he was a union delegate at that point.
It's clear that she is suspicious of sort of like where all his money comes from. Why do the seas part for him wherever he goes? But she's also like totally having fun being along for the ride. And so she's not asking too many questions, at least not at this stage. And then we see Maury's Wigs, an ad for Maury's Wigs. And Maury is a new character being introduced to, who's obviously somebody that, again, is sort of like involved with the crew. He's not in the mafia. He's a what they call him, civilian, right? But he's obviously very involved. And he has, like Jimmy owes him money, and there's like stuff. I think like he was maybe involved in figuring out the Air France thing or something. Like he's involved in a lot of the heists as like an information guy. It seems like. And
then he also seems to have a gambling problem.
That's true.
And gambles through Jimmy. That's
a good point too. So there's all kinds of stuff there, and he is like very brazen. Like Maury from the jump is like, fuck Jimmy, and it's like, and Henry's like, don't say fuck Jimmy.
Fuck him in the ear. Fuck him in the other ear.
Like, wait, you're gonna, that's bad. Like, go tell him yourself, like, you fucker. Like, oh, man.
And then, they end up getting in a little bit of a scuffle, and Maury's wig falls off, and that makes everyone start laughing. Thank God for toupees falling off. I wonder how many lives have been saved by just like a toupee falls off, and someone's, I'm going to laugh too hard. I can't rip your throat out now.
Jimmy's literally like strangling with a telephone cord at the time. Like,
so now Henry gets a call from Karen, and he goes to pick her up, and she's very upset. And she tells him a story when he picks her up that Bruce, the neighbor, basically sexually assaulted her, tried to, push it really far, and then kicked her out of the car. And Henry's just like fucking furious. Takes her home. Bruce is in front of his car with his other Theta Chi dipshit buddies, like polishing a Corvette or whatever. And Henry just no words, like, all right, are you okay? Gets out of his car and walks across the street and starts pistol whipping him in the face. Very satisfying.
It's not even pistol whipping. I mean, he's holding, it's like a 38 special. It's a little pistol. And he's holding it where he's just slamming the side of it into the guy's head over and over. I mean, 10, 11, 12 times. I mean, something like that. And then as the other guys, they're in shock. They're not going to, whatever. He kind of points the gun at them like, fuck off. Goes back over and just hands it to Karen and goes, hide this. And her voiceover kicks in. It's like, most women would have run the first time their boyfriend asked them to hide a bloody gun. Like, but instead, we cut to the wedding,
and then it cuts right to the wedding, which at first is like showing them having like a Jewish religious ceremony,
that's right,
like a mazel tov, and very modest, and Henry's family's there and her family's there and stuff. And then it goes to like the mafia wedding, which is just the mafia people, and it's this big ballroom, and everyone's in black tie, beautiful place. Karen's voiceover here. We're going around, we're meeting the family. And she's like, I went around, and just what a whirlwind it is meeting all the people for the first time. And everyone had a son. Everyone was named Petey or Polly, and they all were married to women named Marie, and their daughters were all named Marie.
It's legit. My family's not even Italian, but we're Catholic. And the number of Marys, Mary Anns, Mary Ellens, Marians that are in my family, it's like ridiculous. It's a ridiculous number. But like everybody is Pete or Petey or Paul or Polly or whatever, and Marie's and all this stuff. And they named all their kids Pete and Paul and Marie and whatever,
and they're getting envelopes full of cash as their wedding gifts. So I love the scene of them just receiving these little window envelopes where you can see Ben Franklin's face sticking out the front there.
And again, we're still in the 60s, so just trying to think about exactly how much money is there. And she even says like, what about the bag? They're dancing like their first dance maybe or whatever. She's like, what about the bag with all the money? He goes, nobody's stealing that here. Like, this is the safest place in the world for a bag full of money that belongs to you, like Yeah.
But they're still living with Karen's parents at this time.
Yes.
And we get Karen and her parents sitting there, and her mom's like, where's Henry? He's out late. A married man shouldn't be out this late.
What kind of people are these?
She's Carmela's mom in
That's
The
right.
Sopranos, who great actress. I mean, always plays a character that I would never want to spend Thanksgiving with, but very good at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love to hate kind of thing. Yeah.
And Henry finally pulls up when it's like starting to get light out, and they both spring up, and immediately he gets to the door, and Karen's mom is yelling at him, and he just like turns around and gets back into the car. He starts laughing.
He's laughing his ass off. Tommy's in the car, and I love because Tommy's like going in up to goes, yeah, Henry, what kind of people are you? Henry, why are you up all late? Henry, come on, Henry.
Correct response from a grown man. I'm sorry. Like it's unacceptable behavior for you to get screamed at when you walk in the door. They didn't have kids yet or anything.
No. Well, I mean, I do think they're like newlyweds though. It is pretty fucking wild to be like that when you're newly married. But yeah, and so then we get Karen, and we're still in kind of her voiceover world, zone, and she goes to this sort of hen party with all the mafia wives, right? And so
her descriptions here are so good.
And you got these women that like they've got bad makeup. They got like there's one who's got like a cold sore or something on her lip. I think one or two of them's got like a black eye. Like it's just these, and she says,
and they're talking about like hitting their kids and how they're it's all like negativity and like grossness and stuff.
Yeah, and she's talking about. She says, they're dressed cheaply, thrown together outfits. They wear too much makeup. They got bad skin, bad hair. Like it's all kind of a nightmare. So then when it cuts back to, her at home with Henry, where they got their own place now, they're not living with her parents anymore. She's complaining. She's saying to him, like, what's going on? Like, God forbid you go to jail. Like, this is awful. Like, what happens? And he goes, nobody goes to jail unless they want to.
Yeah.
Mickey went to jail to get away from his wife. Like, this is not like, don't worry about it. Like, this is not going to happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's never going to be a consequence. That's the best part. No one's ever going to get caught. And she's explaining how everything we did together. There were never any outsiders.
That's right.
So we only went to each other's houses, every birthday, every wedding, everything. It was just us.
Yep.
And, they're kind of showing some of the excesses they have now. They have their nice house, the closets, like crazy amount of shit in there. Yeah. And Henry breaks off. He has this big like stack of 100. He has 2 inches of money.
That's right.
And he breaks a little off for Karen, and she immediately goes down to give him head, which is nice. I like his like, all right.
I'll stick around for a moment. Sure. Twist my arm. But yeah, then we do get a scene where Karen sort of shows us a little bit of the sort of less fun side, which is, the cops show up, we got a search warrant, and she's just like, whenever they came, like it would happen every once in a while. Really, they were looking to get bought off. They were looking for, money. If they did find anything, no big deal. We kept money for that. And she said, I was always nice to him. I'd offer him coffee, let him in, like whatever. She's like, Mickey Conway, Jimmy's wife, would spit on the floor and curse at them. She would spit on her own floor. I never understood that. I'm like, this is a woman with her head on straight. Why are you going to like do that to your own home just to be like mad at the cops? Like they're just doing their jobs too. Everybody's getting a piece.
Yeah. It's so important to the movie that we get like Karen's point of view on her culture shock of like, being a part of this.
Yep. Coming from a very different world.
It just makes her character
yeah,
so much better. We kind of zoom forward into the future now.
Yes, we do.
So we're in 1970 Queens.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're not at the Bamboo Lounge. We're just at one of the other bars that somebody owns. I don't know if we see this. Okay.
Henry owns this bar. I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Sweet Spot or something like that. It's something like that, but it's Henry's bar.
Okay.
And there's a little party going on for a guy named Billy Batts, played by, I can't remember, Frank Vincent.
Vincent.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
To Phil Leotardo.
Yeah.
In The Sopranos. And this is another one of the kind of most memorable classic scenes from the movie. He's there celebrating. He got out of prison. He was in prison for 6 years. He's out. He's ready to get back on the street, do what he's going to do. He's drinking. Henry's saying hi. Jimmy's there. Like whatever. They're all kind of having a good time. And Tommy walks in with a date. And when Billy sees Tommy, he's like, Tommy, get over here. I'm back, whatever. And Tommy, and right off the bat, is like, oh, this fucking guy. Like, it's like Billy always gave him shit when he was younger. Yeah. And now he's like not looking forward to seeing him. And he goes, oh, we used to call this guy Spit Shine Tommy. He'd make your shoes look like mirrors. He was so good with his shine box, whatever. And he goes, hey, I don't know if they told you, Billy, you've been away for a long time. I don't shine shoes anymore. I don't shine shoes anymore. You got to stop breaking my balls. And he goes, well, if I was going to break your balls, I'd tell you to go get your fucking shine box. And it's just...
He's really pushing buttons hard.
Yeah.
And I get that. I mean, obviously Tommy's an overreactor, but it is that sometimes you have that situation where if you have a friend who you were friends with in middle school and they had a sibling that was a few years older, they see you as like, oh, my little brother's friend, even if you're in your 20s.
Yeah,
you're
right.
just like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm not getting my shine box anymore. I'm sorry.
Right. You're literally a year and a half older than me, dude. Like,
yeah. So Tommy leaves. He's like, keep him here.
Yeah.
Keep him here.
takes his date home. Yeah.
And when they're talking about it, he's like, I didn't insult anybody. And De Niro's saying, you insulted him a little bit. You insulted him a little bit. Drinks on us. So they treat him to drinks.
On the house.
What a bad party for coming home from jail
like
after
5
6
people
years.
there.
Hey, I'm going to just hang out at a bar with the same henchman I got arrested with.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's like nobody there. Like, here's the thing. I don't think Billy's part of Paulie's crew because there's a scene later where Paulie's talking to Henry and it's sort of like clear that he's not one of his guys. Other guys are, because I think Paulie and all them, they're part of the Lucchese family. I think they say Billy's with the Gambinos. So it's like a different one of the 5 families.
Why would they be at Henry's bar?
I think it's maybe because it's like, in the neighborhood. Like, I mean, I guess there's
so.
probably at least some crossover where people actually live or grew up or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. But yeah, apparently that's where Billy, and Billy knew Tommy when Tommy was younger. So there's obviously some crossover, you know?
Yeah, some mix up.
Exactly.
Here.
But Tommy
turned
comes
out to be a bad idea.
Yeah. Tommy comes back and basically there's nobody in the bar now except for Henry and Billy and Jimmy. And Tommy just goes in on him and starts beating him with a gun, I think, right? Like kind of the way Henry came at Bruce.
Does he start stabbing him? Yeah.
No, because he gets the knife later.
Oh,
so,
that's right. Yeah. So they're beating him up. They're kicking him while he's on the ground. The scene of Jimmy De Niro's, his face as he's kicking, it doesn't show him doing the kicks, but it just shows his face looking down. I love that so much.
It feels like Jimmy wanted to beat Billy's ass for Tommy more than Tommy wanted to beat Billy's ass. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah. So Billy, you know, obviously this guy is done for.
Yeah.
So they're wrapping him up in aprons and Tommy is like still in psycho mode. He's just like, and it, you know, Henry, I didn't want to get blood on the floor.
Yeah, he's like so concerned for his buddy's bar. You know, he's like, I'm so sorry. It's your floor, man. There's blood on it. I'm so sorry, you know, kind of thing. But yeah.
So the plan is to go. We're gonna take the body. We're gonna bury him. I got a shovel at Tommy. Tommy has a shovel at his mom's house. So they're gonna go to his mom's house and get the shovel.
And they go there, and it's middle of the night. So they figure she'll be asleep. He's even saying, "Oh, let's be quiet." And we go in, whatever. But of course, she's up because she heard them drive up or whatever. And you know, she hasn't seen Tommy in a while. And of course, this actress is Martin Scorsese's mother.
Yep.
And so she does a great job, sort of just being the old Nona and like talking to them, whatever. Got to feed them. You know, go
what
sit
happened?
down.
What happened? How you do? What happened?
You know what? You got blood on you. Where'd this come from? What's going on? Oh, Jimmy will tell you. And they go, Jimmy, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. You know, and they eventually tell her that, okay, they're eating some food and it's really good. And they tell her, oh, we hit a deer. That's where the blood came from. So I'm going to borrow this knife because I got to hack it up. You know, the what do you call it? The paw, whatever, the foot, like got anything to go, the hoof. Yeah, the hoof got stuck in the grill. I got to hack it off. Oh, sorry, Mom, it's a sin. I can't leave it there. Like, you know.
Yeah. Jimmy, the way this always killed me, the way he puts ketchup on his plate where he's like rolling the ketchup bottle sideways in his hand. I've never seen anyone do that. And we would say GoodFellas style to put your ketchup on that way.
Nice.
One of the things that Mom shows him, she's like, oh boy. And it's such a great, the scene of visiting a parent that feels like they don't see you enough because they're busting out everything. I got to tell you about everything. Did I ever show you my painting? And she shows them the painting. Tommy says, oh, I love this one. It's a guy on a boat with 2 dogs. One dog goes this way, one dog goes the other way. And this guy's looking at me like, hey, what do you want from me?
What do you want from me? And then Jimmy goes, he kind of looks like somebody we know, doesn't he? Go, oh my God, you're right. You take off the beard. It's a spitting image. It's him. Because they're saying he looks like Billy Bats. Yeah.
So Henry's explaining as they're kind of taking out Billy Bats is that, you know, he was a made guy and what the concept of that means.
Right.
You know?
It's dangerous for them. The idea about being made is that you're in the books, you're officially a member of the family, and therefore you're
and no
untouchable.
one can act against you except for somebody who's at your level. Or
exactly.
above.
And you basically have to get cleared. Anytime you're killing a made guy, you got to get a boss to clear that, like really high, probably even higher than Paulie, it feels like, right? Really high up person's got to okay the killing of a made guy, and made guys can kill anybody who's not made, and that is all good. Nobody gives a shit. They can do whatever they want. So this is bad. Like Tommy, none of that. First of all, we learn a little bit more details later, but I'll say it here. Jimmy can never be made because he's Irish. Henry can never be made because he's half Irish, even though his mom's Sicilian from the same part of Sicily that Paulie and his family came
Right.
from.
You got to be 100%.
Doesn't matter. Got to be 100% Italian. That's the only way. Now, Tommy is 100% Italian, but he's never been made. So the three of them are not in the category of person within this world that Billy is. So the fact that they killed him is a big problem.
Yeah.
And it's a problem they need to sort of, keep on the wraps or whatever. But yeah, so he was a made guy. We get that whole explanation. And the next scene is, Henry says, Saturday night was for the wives. Friday night at the Copa was for the girlfriends. And so it's all of them hanging out. Jim, because Tommy's not married, but Jimmy and Henry are.
Yeah.
These women are not. It's not Karen and it's not Mickey. These are not their wives. So,
and I like that they can do that every Friday, and it's the same group of girlfriends who know, I know this is like your Friday night girl.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But you also have a wife who I'm not supposed to know. But
I think the girlfriends all know about the wives. The wives just don't know about the girlfriends.
Right, but I mean they don't like know them in real life.
Yes,
they know that
true.
there is one. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a hell of a time, I gotta say. I mean, morally not great, but geez, seems like a heck of a time. And Tommy is really upset that his lady is complimentary towards Sammy Davis
right.
Jr. So it does show like these guys are deeply. I mean, it's racist enough to say we have this club that you have to be 100% Italian to be a part of. So it's not really surprising that they're racist against black people.
They're into the whole pureblood thing.
Yeah,
so it's just nasty, but yeah.
So Paulie, they're at Paulie's house now. So after we're at the Copa for a bit, we have this conversation, and Paulie pulls Henry aside, and he's like, hey, I don't know if he asked directly about him, but he's hinting at who it is, asking about Billy Batts. Like, do you know what happened to this guy?
Like a friend from the other side of town, you know who I'm talking about? Like,
what happened to him? And Henry's like, he came into the bar and then he left, and that was it.
Yeah. Just like, don't have anything. Or so if you hear something, you're going to tell me, right? So yeah, Paulie, of course I'll hear something, And so there's that. And so then Henry and Jimmy are then talking, in a different scene when Jimmy says, we got to, that thing we did, we got to go deal with it. We got to go move it. We gotta go. He said, "What do you mean move it?" And he's like, "Well, they're sold the land that it's sold, and they're gonna build like condominiums. Like we gotta move it, dude. It's been 6 months. Oh my god, in no kind of preservation to the body in the ground for 6 months.
Crazy.
Ooh, that's foul.
Yeah. So they have to go dig him back up. The lighting of this scene is so good.
Amazing.
It is just like hell.
Yes, it's all red from the headlights from the car, basically. Like,
it's really good, and they're throwing up, and and then it does show like a consequence to the family because Henry now he's got kids and everything, and Karen and the kids are walking by as he's hosing out the trunk of the car, like covering his mouth, like she's like, "Oh, what is that?" I hit a skunk.
I hit a skunk, Karen.
Hit a skunk. Get out of here. There are several scenes in this movie where it shows like some really bad act that he's committing as a member of the organized crime, and then it'll show kind of an effect on his family.
Yeah.
So the kids have to smell the disgusting 6-month-old decayed body.
Yeah.
So he's gotten an apartment for his girlfriend, Janice.
That's right. He's got an apartment downtown. I think he says it's a little bit further away, not near the house. But he's there a lot, and there's like a party going on there, and you've got Janice is showing her girlfriends around, and one of those girlfriends is Debbie Mazar, who's in Entourage and a bunch of other stuff. Whose name's Sandy. She comes back later, but basically, like they're all kind of just looking around, and there's a point where, Henry sort of tackles Janice playfully on the bed, and like whatever. But like as they're leaving the room, he and Sandy have a little moment, and there's clearly like a mutual interest there. So maybe he's going to have the side piece of the girlfriend while he's got a wife. Like he's got to have multiple girls in play here, but it doesn't quite happen yet. But
he's shopping for the replacement girlfriend at the housewarming party for his current girlfriend,
or maybe it's shopping for the girlfriend that he'll get when he leaves Karen to marry Janice. Maybe that's his plan. It's like stacking them up or something.
And they were talking about how now Janice is kind of protected by him, and her boss complained that she wasn't doing enough at work, and then it cuts to so we had to straighten up her boss, and then it's the guys just beating the shit out of this guy like, from now on Janice can do whatever she wants.
Right. It's fucked up.
It's like, Jesus
you gotta keep her on staff and pay her, but don't expect her to do anything.
And now we're at a cool little card game in the basement.
Yep, exactly. And we've got all the crowd. We've got a couple people that we've seen before. This guy Carboni, who's got like the big afro head, and he's got Tommy's there, Henry's there, Jimmy's there. It looks like maybe it's the back room at Henry's bar. I'm guessing maybe, but kind of manning this little back bar or whatever is also another one of our Sopranos folks, Michael Imperioli, who played Christopher Moltisanti, is here as the character Spider, who's sort of like. He feels very much like who Henry was when Henry was like 16. Is kind of what it feels like. Yeah,
kind of like
he's the gopher,
beginning
and
of
like
the film.
whatever. But Tommy asks for a drink, and I don't think Spider hears him, or he says like, "Oh, I thought you said I was okay," or whatever. He brings a drink for Jimmy, but Tommy's like, "Where's my drink. And he really lays into Spider about just like, what the fuck? You got me on a no pay no mind list, kid. Like, what do you like? Why didn't you bring me my drink?
And Spider's like, he's either like a little slow or he's just so intimidated by Tommy that he's stammering, or both. But he's not like getting, there's a way to just be like, right away, I'll get you your drink. But he like kind of gets stuck on this conversation with Tommy.
I think he is too much like Tommy. If this were somebody his age saying this to him, he would have already thrown hands. Spider. Like, I feel like it's a thing where it's like, he knows he's not he can't attack Tommy. Tommy could fucking kill him, right? Like, whatever. But he's pissed that he's being, sort of questioned in this way. Like, he legit didn't hear him. Like quit breaking my balls. I legit didn't hear, but he can't say that to a guy of Tommy's stature, right? So it's like he's stuck in this in between his own sort of like machismo and like the reality of the situation. But basically, Tommy decides to make Spider dance. He talks about
talking about some old Western. What was that movie Bogart did where he shot the guy's foot and made him dance and everything?
Well, he didn't shoot his feet, and then he shoots at his feet, and the guy dances, and he never actually shoots him in the foot. Feet, but that's what Tommy tries to do, except he actually shoots Spider in the foot. The poor kid knocks him down. Henry runs over to help him, and like the worst part about it, or like the most kind of brazenly sociopathic part of all this, is that Tommy is then yelling at Spider as they are carrying him out to take him to the doctor up the street who can fix him up without going to a real hospital. Yelling at him not to make a big deal. Don't bust my balls over this. This is no big deal. Don't act like this is a big deal. Yeah. This is on you, you fucking mutt, or whatever he says. He calls everybody a mutt. That's a big.
He was mad that
thing,
Spider was like, my bones are all shattered. And he's like, shut the fuck.
You're making too big a deal out of it. Like,
man. So he is just happened. Shut up, Tommy.
Sociopath.
Crazy.
Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so far, like, Henry's been kind of normal, but I mean, normal as far as like violence towards in his relationship. He's not popping off on people, but him and Karen are now at home fighting.
Yes.
And I think Karen knows what's going on. She's like, you're going somewhere. She doesn't know exactly about Janice, but she knows
there's somebody
that something like that is happening.
Yeah.
And, they're fucking throwing lamps and shit. So it gets the domestic arguments that they have and the fights that him and Karen have are really, really intense.
And they ramp up fast.
Ooh, yeah. Like, you really feel those.
Yeah.
And again, as they're having this big fight, and I think she tries to throw his car keys out the window. He's like, I'm still gonna go out. What are you doing?
Pick up the car keys.
But it does. The camera then goes down the hall to their little daughter standing in the doorway of her bedroom as they're fighting.
And then Karen's shouting, "I hate you. I wish you'd fucking die," or something like that. Yeah. We cut back to the same little back room, card room, whatever. And now Spider's got his foot all bandaged up, but he's back working and all this stuff. And they're basically like Jimmy and whatever, they're kind of giving Tommy a hard time a little bit, and Spider is feeling a little empowered. And so, Tommy's like, oh, look, see, he's back. He's faking it. Like, it's not even that big a deal, whatever. And Spider, not even under his breath, like full throated, is like, why don't you go fuck yourself, Tommy? Everybody goes silent. And then Jimmy, I think, makes the situation 1,000 times worse by just laying into Tommy. Oh, you're going to let him talk to you like that? Look at the balls on Spider.
And he's totally joking, but you could see Tommy he's like,
raging.
Even if there's a 2% chance that this does hurt my rep by not doing something right now, I got to do it. And like, what a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
So yeah, he pops up and blasts Spider.
3 shots to the chest. The kid's dead. Yeah. Like wild stuff. And Jimmy's pissed. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I was breaking your balls. Like, are you kidding? Like, why are you doing? Killing the kid? Like, Jesus Christ. So,
and he's not like, poor Spider. He's like, well, you dig the hole. I'm not digging the hole.
He's like, I can dig a hole.
First hole I ever dug.
It's the first hole I ever dug. I can dig a hole. Oh man.
So Karen and the kids have now found Janice's apartment. So they're at the buzzer for Janice's apartment. She's trying to buzz in. These 2 poor little kids, one with like a pacifier. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. And I mean, for Karen too. And she's just smashing the buzzer, talking to everybody in there. You have a whore living in apartment 21, Janice Rossi, like really going nuts, rightfully so. Henry has really been, because Karen from the very beginning of their relationship is prone to like impulsive behavior, let's say. Yeah. Like, she's not a perfectly calm, like, Mormon fucking prairie wife type character. Like, she made she made Tommy drive him to go yell at Henry at the very beginning after their failed date. So like, she has this fucking fire in her too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that right after that scene as the next thing is we get a gun in our face as the audience, as Henry is waking up. Karen is he's obviously it was just like taking a nap. He's like dressed, but he's like on the bed and she is straddling him and is pointing a 38 right in his face. I mean, the gun is cocked. This is not good trigger discipline. Her finger is on the trigger. It's not on the trigger guard. Like a slight squeeze and brains everywhere. I mean, it really is that thing. And Henry is very calmly like, Karen, put the gun down. I only love you. Cause she's like, tell me, like, what do you love her? Like, what's going on? I know all about her. I know all about Janice, like all this stuff. And he's like, she's just a girl. Like, I only love you. Put the gun down. Let's talk about this. He's trying to be very calm. And the second,
trying to be a cooler.
That's true, he is. But as soon as she sort of lets her guard down slightly, he smacks the hell out of her and is like throwing her to the ground and putting the gun in her face. How do you like it? Like all this stuff. It's really fucking scary. And the craziest part about the scene, and again, like I cannot believe Bracco didn't win the supporting actress award, but she is doing that silent choking sob where you can't hear anything, but it's like very visceral.
Yeah.
And he gets up to leave. And as he leaves, she lets the sob out and is screaming, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So she's apologizing to him, which is just like, oh, it's amazing.
In her voiceover too is really like heartbreaking for her character. She says, no matter how bad I felt, no matter what he did to me, I was still attracted to him. And I wasn't going to like end this with him and let somebody else have him. Like I wasn't going to let somebody else win. It's just like, fuck, dude.
Wild. Yeah.
Really just amazing Lorraine Bracco there. Yep. So now Henry's like out of the house for a little bit, He's
living at Janice's.
He's living with Janice in her insanely decorated apartment. Once again, we've had so many films in a row, I think, with like really wild decor. And I think it's part of it is the years that we're existing in, but also even for that time, like get out of here.
Yeah, when you compare like the Beetlejuice, the Dietz's house after it was decorated to like, Ben Gazzara's house and Roadhouse, and then now this, and we're not even to the final
Fox
one.
in Wall Street.
That's true.
Like,
oh my God. And then we're not even to the most ridiculous house in this movie hasn't even shown up yet.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to Karen and Henry's next place.
That's
more
right.
Wild, really crazy decorations. Like,
so Paulie and Jimmy show up to Janice's place to tell Henry, like, yeah, it doesn't work for you to be separated from your wife.
Like, you got to go home.
Part of the mafia thing is that's your family and that's just how it is.
And it's keeping up appearances too.
Yeah. Also, like, this is a disruption waiting to happen. Like, this is going to fuck with our business. Like, figure it out. Go home. First, why don't you go to Tampa with Tommy and
with Jimmy? It's Jimmy and
and then come on back up. You know, so it immediately cuts to him in Tampa. And they're like smashing this guy's face against the dashboard of a car.
Really crazy. And they're about to feed him to the alligators. They're at like the Tampa Zoo. Or the lions. That's right, the lions. The Tampa Zoo, they're going to feed him to the lions, and the guy cracks and calls in, like, whatever. Yeah, they're serious. They do need the money, whatever. Problem is, it's like that guy's sister or something, right? Works for like,
she was like a typist for the FBI, they said.
Fucking desk jockey, kind of, not an enforcement officer, but works for the FBI. So she spills everything she knows about, about his stuff and about what happened and about who Jimmy and Henry are. And they get pinched, and they each get 10 years for all sorts of stuff. I'm assuming aggravated assault and like all the kind of different stuff, battery and whatever. But yeah, they get 10 years each. And so then we cut to another kind of the main kind of famous moments in this movie, which is Paulie's garlic. We learn that Henry is in jail and Paulie is in jail too. And it's like, Paulie had a special way of doing the garlic, and he would use a razor blade and cut it so thin you could see through it. It would melt into the sauce.
Liquefy in the pan. Oh, God.
So good. I've never had the patience to do it that way.
I know. I can't. I slice it thin sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of like Paulie slicing this garlic. But I got to try the real razor blade.
I'm way too metagon for that. Like, I absolutely put it into the crusher and just like squeeze it through the little holes. Like,
So Henry is a little far gone at this point too. Right before he goes to jail. I mean, off of this fight with his wife that he's had. So he's going directly. He hasn't been home. There's been no reconciliation. And now she has to support him and his kids while he's in jail, not earning any money.
Yep.
And it shows how rough things are going for him because he takes a bunch of pills without water.
That's right. So that's how you know. That's
always
how you know.
Tell. But yeah, okay. The scene of the prison is just beautiful.
Yeah.
And, from reading about it, it's like, yeah, this is possible. Like, if you think about, well, in Mexico, would you imagine that the cartel bosses have a favorable thing. It's like, yeah, they probably
Yeah.
do. So why the fuck wouldn't we hear? Yes,
Yeah.
there are ways to bribe your way into like better situations.
If
you
you've
know?
got enough money and the people that are in control of things are willing to take bribes, then that's what happens.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just how it works.
And they're getting, eating like absolute kings,
Oh,
right? So it's
lobster.
showing they get lobsters delivered. They got all these different kinds of meats and salamis and fresh bread and booze and wine and all this
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, they're talking about the sauce. It's got veal and beef and pork. Oh, you got to have the
Crazy.
pork for the flavor. Like it's like it's as if it's like nothing changed. They're just sleeping on twin sized cots instead
Yeah.
of their big king beds.
And this is what Henry says about jail. He says, it wasn't that bad, except that I miss Jimmy.
Because that's right. Jimmy was in
Doesn't
some other
miss his kids,
nope.
doesn't miss his wife.
Doesn't miss his girlfriend.
Yeah, just miss Jimmy. So then Karen comes in with the kids to visit.
Right.
And she looks at the sign-in list for the visitors and notices, oh, somebody else visited Henry. Who
Yeah.
was it? And sees Janice Rossi's
That's right.
name on there.
She freaks out. She blows up his spot. She's obviously been smuggling stuff in for him because she's got like baguettes and like, all this kind of food and booze and stuff. And she's like, and I don't know why it doesn't get taken from him. I mean, even with a couple of the guards on the take, it can't be all
Just
of
to
them.
make
Like,
it look good, they should have to take
do
it
something.
from him.
Yeah.
You know?
But she kind of tries to blow his spot up and basically is just like, don't ever let her visit again. He's like, I'm in here. Like, how am I supposed to control who comes visit me or not? Like, what are you talking about? But he
She's
promises.
like, let her sneak this in.
Yeah,
Let
right.
that whore. Like, I'm doing this. Like, nobody's helping me. Everyone's ignoring me
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, I told you that was how it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get us set up. So she's one of the things she's bringing is some pills for him to sell, and he's
Yeah.
got some drug dealing happening. And he's talking about why I have this connection in Pittsburgh who's going to help me when we get out.
Exactly. And then we cut to 4 years later. So we're now, I don't know exactly what year we're in now, but it's getting to the mid 70s, the late 70s, I think it's point. Henry gets out. So he got out maybe after about 5 years, it looks like altogether. And he gets out and they go to Paulie's for dinner and it's like a whole big thing. And they're, everybody's super happy. And it's like Henry's back and they're chit chatting, whatever. But Paulie has to go take Henry aside and have a chat with him, like in the backyard. And he's basically saying, he doesn't use the word drugs or whatever, but he calls it garbage. And he's like, you stay off of that stuff. I don't want any of that stuff near me. And he names this other sort of boss. He's like, he's going to die in prison. He's 7 years old. He's going to die in prison because he got 20 years just because he talked to somebody that sold drugs. I can't have that. Like, you can't be like, you got to stay out of it or else I'm in it.
Yeah.
It's basically saying like, there is no way for you to do this and it doesn't blow back on me. So you can't do this shit. I don't want anything. And this is so funny because, The Godfather had a very similar kind of plot line, right? Where Don Corleone didn't want to get involved in the drug dealing
such a
and stuff.
funny fucking mythology that is completely fake.
Yeah.
That the mafia draws the line at drugs. Get the fuck out of here.
They did it though. It's, the idea behind it is that there were elements who were high enough up that they didn't need to make
you
more
shouldn't
money.
touch drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're the ones saying what we've got is going so good for us that if you guys bring drugs into the picture, it just raises the risk on us.
Yeah.
And then because I think in maybe it was in The Godfather and Casino, one of the movies they mentioned how when drugs came in, everybody started getting worse sentences. So it wasn't like you were racketeering, you were running numbers, you were maybe beating guys up, you get 3 years, you get 5 years. You can do that time.
Yeah,
but you
the
go
drugs
one
let
drug
them
thing,
power up
20,
your sentence.
30 years.
Yeah.
Now, what the fuck are you going to do in jail for 20, 30 years? You're out of the game, like completely. Your life's over in a lot of ways. And that's the thing. But all the like street level guys are like, fuck that. We're trying to make more money. So they were no problem bringing drugs into the picture. But I do think the bosses, maybe even like the kind of captain level guys, they did not want to bring drugs in just because it changed the risk profile.
Yeah.
And for them, they were getting enough money off all the shit going. They got their fingers in everything. They got everything going on. So they don't want the extra risk. But everybody below them is like, yeah, but I fucking want more.
Yeah.
And this
like,
is
I
the
gotta keep
fastest,
kicking
easiest
up
way.
to guys.
This is the fastest, easy way to do it. And if you don't want to know about it, that means I'm not paying a tribute on it. So the guys doing the drug running lower in the system are not kicking money up because they can't let the bosses know they're doing it at all.
Right.
So
that's a violation on its own.
It is
It's
a violation on
not
its own.
kicking up on earnings.
But it also means that they're keeping more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all kind of, it really fucks up the whole, what do they call it? I can't remember. There's a term. It's like not La Cosa Nostra, but it's like, it fucks up the deal. The pact gets all fucked up by drugs being involved.
Is it omerta?
That's the omerta.
All right,
Thank
there
you.
we
Yes,
go.
good job.
Yeah, and the other thing Paulie says to Henry is like, watch out for Jimmy and Tommy. Like Jimmy takes too many risks, and Tommy's temperature
wild
can't be
card.
controlled. It's like, oh, thank you, Paulie, for introducing me to these two concepts. But Henry's fine. He's set up. He has his drug plan. He's got his new girlfriend Sandy,
That's
who we
right.
saw earlier,
Yep.
and she's helping him cook up coke, and it's
Cut it
looking
with
like
stuff, yeah.
What a fun time going to Sandy's apartment. That looks like a hell of a visit there.
God. Oh, Jesus.
But now that he has money coming in, they're not, because when he first got out and he looked around the place that Karen and the kids were in looked like maybe it was a studio or one, but because there were just bunk beds loose, like the bed and everything there. So, and he takes one look around. He's like, pack this shit up. We're moving out of here.
Because they had to sell she had to sell the house they were in when he went away because they weren't getting help from Paulie anymore. So she moves them into an apartment, her and the girls, just that's what they could afford or whatever, right? And he's just like, no, none of this. This is not going to work. But now he's selling drugs through this Pittsburgh Connect that he's got. And so he's bringing in money, left, right, center, whatever. And this is when we get yet another kind of, wildly decorated home, and it's Karen taking Mickey Conway around showing her like all the different stuff. And like, oh, this table came from Italy in 2 pieces that had to be put together here. Like whatever. Like it's just all this crazy stuff. They got like a moving bookcase. She's got the most ridiculous remote control.
Wall that opens up.
It's the most ridiculous remote control she's holding. It's this huge thing. It looks like something Data would have had in the Goonies. And it's like she flips a switch, a big old, it's like arm the bombs. Like it's that level of a switch,
it's
right?
A detonator looking thing.
And then
it
opens the, and it's like the hi-fi with the record player with the TV that's like maybe 19 inches, right? Which at the time, it was fantastic. It's like 1975. This is incredible, But so
and
it's just,
a lot of like
it.
Japanese stuff like that. The way that you would kind of picture Steven Seagal's house would look. There's lots of that stuff. Really good. So Maury, the week shop guy, he's got some info now. So he's got some tips and he's talking to Jimmy and he's talking about the job that ends up being the Lufthansa heist, which is another airplane cash theft. But this is way bigger in scope. This is more than 10 times bigger than the previous one.
Exactly.
So this is the crew for the Lufthansa heist. We got Jimmy, we got Maury, we got Tommy. We got Carbone, the kind of afro-looking guy. We got Frenchie, the guy from Dumb and Dumber. We got Joe Buddha, who it doesn't really show much of. We got Johnny Roast Beef, who I love.
Johnny Roast Beef.
And then Stax Edwards, who is Samuel L. Jackson.
I completely forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah.
Completely forgot he played Stax. Like, because he's like young for some reason. And I know this isn't like the early we saw him in Trading. I just think Trading Places was like 8 years before this movie, and he looked more like Samuel L. Jackson to me than in this movie. Something about him looks so different. Yeah. But anyway, so he's in it, and Stax is involved as well. And so there's the whole Lufthansa heist that goes down, and it's like the kind of thing where Henry's really only involved, I think, to like help get the crew together. He's not part of the heist,
right?
So he's not.
He doesn't get like a proper cut.
Yeah, he's not getting a full cut because he's not actually involved. But he hears on the radio. He's like taking a shower, and he hears on the radio about how there's this like the largest like heist from an airport in American history has taken place, and like like NYPD says $2 million is missing. The Port Authority says it's $4 million, and he's just like, woohoo, Jimmy!
I love him slapping the wall of the shower to celebrate. It's such a great
all
scene.
Soapy, like
and he's so exciting, and so he's very excited for them. And the thing that he's doing is his coke smuggling to Pittsburgh thing involves their old babysitter who's kind of like bringing a baby back and forth on plane flights and like putting the coke in the diaper bag and all that kind of shit.
Lois. Yes.
So we have a Christmas party. Is Goodfellas a Christmas movie? I don't know. We got a little bit of Christmas here.
More than Rocky IV.
Great soundtrack selections here. I think we have the Bells of St. Mary's from the Phil Spector A Christmas Gift to You album, which is just fantastic. And so the Christmas party's happening at the bar, and Johnny Roast Beef, who is one of the Lufthansa crew, shows up. And he's showing Jimmy this new car that he just bought. He's
Pink
like,
Cadillac.
What the? I told you not to buy it. And his new wife, which looks like he just bought. Because they were like, who the hell is this? He's like, oh, we just got married.
And I bought her the car. Like, this thing is a gift, right? It's a wedding gift. And he keeps saying, it's in my mother's name. It's not mine. It's in my mother's name. And Jimmy's like, I don't give a fuck whose name is it. You are driving around a brand new car. Like, what? How do you think this looks? Like, what are you doing? What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Yeah, so don't buy anything. So Jimmy's, and then Carbone walks in with his wife, and she has this big mink coat on.
And they refer to it as a $20,000 mink. Now, I don't know if that's an exaggeration or accurate, but that is fucking wild if that's true.
And so he takes that. My one thing about that, though, is that earlier, they're just lifting trucks of fur coats. So wouldn't you think that's a good gift to, like, kick one down to your wife? It wouldn't raise as many
But maybe it's because it's a white mink. None of the ones on the thing were white before. Maybe that's more rare, more expensive, and it's going to draw more attention. But so then we get this whole scene, and Maury is pissing off Jimmy. Maury keeps asking, where's my cut? Where's my cut? Because Maury, again, not a full share probably because he wasn't like in the job, but he did bring the idea to them. So
Yeah.
he gets like a finder's fee. It'd be more like a smaller percentage cut, but like, he's the thing.
A couple $100,000.
Right. Yeah. They end up selling
big time money.
They do end up saying it was $6 million in cash was stolen. So
Crazy.
the number of people involved, if it was an even split, all the people involved are probably getting 7, 8, 900 grand. I mean, something in that ballpark. And then what's left over for guys like Henry and Maury, who were like sort of involved, they're still getting a few $100,000, right? It's definitely a lot of money. And we know Maury's got gambling debts, like probably some of them to Jimmy, but probably to other people as well. So he really needs money. He's like pressing. He's like, I need the money, And Jimmy is fucking close to the edge with Maury. Like he is not cool. He doesn't do anything yet, but he is really fucking close to the edge.
But Maury, again, does not act like a guy who's ever been around these guys in his life. The way that he's it's like, I know you want your money, but you have to know your approach is terrible here, Maury.
I can't imagine being a civilian associated with these people, not even really a soldier, but like somebody that's on the outside and just associated with them and acting like that towards people like this. Like, it does not make any sense to me. Like, that's the thing. If I bring you this and you steal these things and you kick me down anything, that's good, because that means I'm in your good graces.
Right.
If you didn't kick anything down to me after a heist like that, I'm probably gonna leave town. Because now I feel like you probably want to clean up some loose ends. And that's why you're not kicking money down to me. That would be my first instinct. It's like, this is not going to go well for me if I stick around.
Like, you've seen this happen how many times before, and you feel like you're the exception. I don't understand that. And for Henry's part, he said, he just got a little taste. I love referring to a little bonus as just a taste. And what he did is, I just bought my family the most expensive Christmas tree they had, which is this real shitty looking artificial white tree.
Yeah, it's real bad. It's not even flocked. It's just white. It's really terrible. But now we get back to Stacks briefly, because Tommy, he wakes up, knock at his door, and Tommy and Carbone are there, and he's like, "Oh, you want some coffee?" He's like, "No, yeah, sure, put some coffee on, Carbone, or whatever." And they're basically talking about how they got to get going somewhere, and so Stacks starts putting his shoes on, and Tommy's just behind him with a gun with like a suppressor on it, and just blows his brains all over his apartment. We hear from the narration voiceover from Henry is that basically, instead of putting the truck where Stacks was supposed to put the truck, it was like a really important part of this deal, he ends up like driving it to his girlfriend's house and getting high, and like leaving it there and forgetting about it.
So the cops, like, they hadn't found Stacks yet, but they were like on the general trail of this. Like, it was gonna lead to him.
Exactly. So
so they had to take him out. And again, during this whole time, this Bells of St. Mary's song is playing in the background, which is really effective. So we find out that that Tommy's going to get made.
Huge deal.
That's big news.
Huge deal.
So they're extra happy because Henry goes and he sees Jimmy and Tommy at this place, and they're just a little extra hop in everyone's step. Because for them, because they can't, like you said before, this is as close as they're ever going to be to being in it. It's like the closest guy to us is in it.
Exactly. And the idea would be, right, if Tommy's made, and Tommy's a made man, and he makes it clear to everybody, hey, like, Jimmy and Henry are my guys. It's not the same as being made themselves, and it doesn't give them carte blanche to do what they want, but it probably gets heat off of them in a lot of ways. Like, there's probably elements where it's like, I might have beef with Jimmy Conway or Henry Hill, but Tommy's a made guy, and he says that they're his guys. So I don't want to fuck with Tommy, so I'm not going to fuck with those two. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of like extra protection that just comes from being that close to a made guy. So they're super excited. Jimmy, especially, because he's the Irishman. He's 100% Irish. This is something that's nothing like whatever he's going to get. But he's also been instrumental as an associate of the Lucchese family. Like, he is a hugely important member of the family. But there's
good
always,
earner, as they say.
And that's always hanging over his head, though, that like he's not one of them, and that's an issue. So having Tommy be made is such a big deal. Such a big deal for
because he is like a father figure to both of these guys.
Absolutely. He's a little bit older. Yeah.
And so we get an appearance of Sunshine of Your Love again, which I think is just interesting because we saw it in Breakfast Club with Bender like singing the riff, and then we saw it in True Lies with a cover version. So it's just funny that song's like sneaking around on us. So Jimmy lets Henry know, like, Maury's too fucking annoying. I'm going to take him out. I'm done with this guy.
Yep.
And there's a great kind of voiceover as they're going through, like, having this hang and poker game, and Maury's there, and Tommy and Henry and Jimmy, and like all the dudes are there. And Henry's kind of saying, like, well, I was hoping that I could get Jimmy to stop thinking about it by hanging around, get on his good graces and everything.
And
at a certain point, Jimmy looks over to Henry and is just like, yeah, that thing, it's not going to happen.
Forget about tonight. It's okay.
So good for Henry. And again, they, maybe Henry's too innocent, or maybe the guy who wrote the story never talks about how he participated in murders. I don't know which one it would be.
That's true. It does seem like Henry is only adjacent to like most of these killings for the most part. Like, but you would get a scene where walking down the alley that same night is Jimmy and Tommy and Carbone and Maury, and Maury's fucking getting at Jimmy again. He's like, I need my money, Jimmy. Like, where's my money? He's like, oh, look, fine. I'll bring it to you. Let's go get it right now. Come on, get in the car. And this is the classic where, you know, the classic mistake that Maury makes is getting in the front seat.
Never get in the front seat.
Don't ever get in the front seat. You sit in the back or you don't get in the car.
Yeah.
And so he gets in the front seat. Tommy gets in behind him. Carbone gets in to drive. And before they even start the car, Tommy's putting an ice pick into this brainstem of Maury. He's done. And it's like one of the cleanest kills.
Such a good shot. Like zero
perfect
sound at all. I mean, it was like a no splash dive of an ice pick
exactly.
murder.
10 out of 10
it was
from
just absolutely perfect.
10 out of 10 from the Lithuanian judge. Yeah.
And, you know, and then Maury's wife comes like super upset to Henry and Karen's house. Like, where's Maury? Like, we've been married for 27 years. He's never not come home.
Yeah.
Something might have happened. And of course, Henry, he got drunk and he felt, because Henry doesn't know, but he's starting to put pieces together.
He doesn't know it happened, so it's a surprise to him. But upon hearing Mickey say he didn't come, or not Mickey, that's Jimmy's wife, whatever, you know, Maury's wife say that, you know, he didn't come home. He knows right away why. Jimmy told me he wasn't going to do it, but he went through with it anyway. And Maury's fucking dead. Like, nobody's going to find him. Basically, at that point. So
God, and so Henry's talking about how, you know, after this big heist, like, Jimmy doesn't like giving money to people. So exactly. Even though the deal was we're going to split it up these ways because we all have vital roles in this operation, Jimmy doesn't like giving money to people, so he just killed him. And Henry's so matter of fact the way he's talking about this. This scene is amazing, and it's happening, this montage happening with the piano part from Layla playing over it, which is just so good and so much better than the rest of that song.
Yeah.
It's like the saxophone part from Baker Street.
There you go.
Like you listen to the rest of the song, you're like, this isn't up to par with this.
Yep.
But the Layla thing, so we're seeing like Johnny Roast Beef and his wife are both dead in the car
in the pink Cadillac. Yep.
And with some bodies in the garbage truck.
Yeah, that's Frenchie and I remember the other guy, but that's where Joe Buddha. French and Joe Buddha are there. Carbone is hanging in a meat truck, and he was in there so long that they had to thaw him out for 3 days for the autopsy.
Him frozen in that with like his fro like frozen is just such a cool look.
And then we get another, I think maybe, again, one of the more famous scenes for me, at least, and one of the ones I think about a lot is we get Tommy going to be made. So he's at his mom's house, and she's like looking at his suit. Oh, you look so nice. You know, be careful.
Wild collar on that shirt he's wearing.
There's so many times the collar is so tight and like together. It's so weird looking, but it is very mobstery. Like to me, it's very similar to like, oh, my tie is lighter colored than my dress shirt. That's a very mobster look.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of collar is always a mobster look. But basically, he gets picked up by Tootie and this old guy. I don't know who the old guy was, but Tootie, what's his last name?
Tootie Cicero.
Cicero. Yeah, Paulie's little brother who ran the cab stand. He picks up Tommy and the old guy. They pick him up. They drive to like, I don't even know whose house this is, by the way, where they go. But
yeah,
somebody's
I'm not
house.
sure where
they pull
it
into the
was.
garage and they're going through and Tommy's kind of chatting. He's like, oh, hey, how long ago did you get made? Oh, 30 years ago. Oh, I bet this brings back memories. And the guy's like, yeah, kind of, whatever. And they go in and it's an empty room. And it's so good. The way Joe Pesci goes, oh, no.
Yeah.
And it's just this moment of resignation. And then Tootie's got the gun in the back of his head. And I mean, it is a visceral look. It's probably the best like special effect in the movie is Joe Pesci's head exploding out the front of his face.
Yeah. And
really
showing
wild.
Like that gruesome of a thing is something that the effect often looks really bad.
Yes. Right.
And it was so perfect. I would have loved if they just had him slip on a bunch of micro machines when he walked in there. But that's also a good way to injure Joe Pesci.
Paint can to the face.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about this, you know, the whole maid guy thing is it gets around to, so Jimmy, they're waiting for the call to confirm.
Yeah.
You know, this is like them waiting to find out that their kid is born. Like it's so exciting to them. And Jimmy's at the payphone, he gets the call and it's just like, didn't work out.
Yeah, we had a problem. Couldn't fix it.
That's it. There's nothing we could do about it. And Jimmy's scene, De Niro's, this is like the greatest De Niro scene, breaking down in the payphone. I love a phone with a receiver because you can slam it against the phone when you're upset. With the cell phone, you can't. You got to slam it against something else. You got to be able to slam it against itself.
Yeah. There was almost a moment here where I thought Henry, and this is a great acting scene for both De Niro and Liotta, and I really felt like there's a moment here where Henry was debating whether he should like embrace Jimmy, right? There's this moment of like, he looks like he might kind of reach for him, but I feel like that would have, a good call not to. I feel like Jimmy would have reacted very badly to any kind of like sensitivity at that moment, but he is breaking down over this. Because here's the thing, not only does it mean one of his best friends is dead, and his ticket in is gone. It means they're in trouble now too. Like not right away necessarily, and maybe not him. And
Sure,
whatever,
but they're never
like,
going to be trusted by
No,
these
not the
guys
same way.
because
Yeah.
they don't even have a full Italian to speak for them.
That's right.
But then also they were associated with this guy that double crossed them and went against the rules, and they're implicated even if, you know, it's not like Tommy ratted them out, but they
No.
have to know like who would have been with him.
Right, who's most
Like, who would
likely
have
to
known
help
about this
Tommy,
shit.
or at least known about it exactly.
Ugh.
And they make it clear in Henry's voiceover that this was in revenge for Billy Batts.
Yes.
This was because he killed Frank Vincent's character, so this is why, you know, he said. And it's like, I guess he did do the killing, but like it's pretty wild for Jimmy especially to not take some blame, and maybe he does. I mean, that's why he's so freaked out that, like, you know, his boot marks are all over Billy Batts' face too. You know,
Yeah,
what I
if
mean?
we did
Like-
some forensics, I think we could find some fault for
Yeah,
Jimmy
exactly,
there.
right.
Yeah.
Henry was more involved in the cleanup more than
He
the actual
was.
killing. Yeah, but
Yeah, and he owned the facility.
That's
He
true,
provided the venue for it. Yeah, so the end of this is just Henry saying, and that's that.
yeah, exactly.
And then we go to 5/11/1980, May
Yep.
11th, 1980, 6:55 a.m.
oh my god, this
And-
whole sequence of this day is amazing.
It's so tense, and it's different from the way that the rest of the movie has been, you know,
Yeah.
where a lot of it is like, hey, let's kind of hang out in mafia world and show you what it's like and let you feel what it's like. And this is just like, and here are the
Yeah,
consequences.
day
of
in the
it.
life of, and it's this important day, and so it starts off where the whole day he's got a few things to do. He says he's got like a whole bunch of stuff to do. He's got to go pick his brother Mikey up from the hospital and take him home. He's got to go bring some guns to Jimmy that Jimmy wanted because he bought some like silencers or whatever, and he wants to fit them to him. He's got to meet up with his Pittsburgh guys to get the shipment that then has to go out to Miami. He's got to go down to Florida. He's got to get that set up and ready to go and give it to Lois and get her to the airport so that she can take her flight. So there's all this stuff going on, and he's making
the dinner.
Yeah.
And I love him
Oh.
referencing back, you know, talking about these big, you know, well, I got to deliver the drugs to this thing and I got to get back to stir the sauce.
Yeah, exactly. And he's telling
everything's
Mikey,
on like a level playing field.
he's telling his brother Michael to keep stirring the sauce. Don't let it burn. Don't let it stick to the pot. Like all
I'm
this
stirring
stuff.
it.
He goes to the hospital to pick his brother up, and the doctor there is like, "You look like shit, dude. Like you need help, whatever." He apparently gives him some Valium and sends him on his way because apparently, you know, the 1980s were wild.
Just
when it comes to
amazing.
hospitals.
That doctor, did you recognize who that was?
He looked familiar. Who was that?
I forget the actor's name. He just passed away. He was on The Wire as State Senator Clay Davis. He was the shit.
That's
that
right.
guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
I knew that was somebody.
Good to see him.
Yeah.
So again, we've got the family dinner intertwined with
Yep.
like all the crime stuff happening.
Yep.
And Henry, as he's driving around, he's seeing this chopper overhead.
Oh yeah, keeps looking at the helicopter, looking up.
And he brings Karen in to the car with him. They have to go run an errand, and like, yeah, you see this helicopter.
Yeah.
It's funny, the type of people who they became by this point in the movie would have been seeing helicopters like twice a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's crazy that this was real helicopters.
Yeah, and Karen's clearly all in on the drug stuff. I mean, she's doing coke with him. Like she's completely bought into the whole system. They go and they go to a motel and pick up drugs from their Connect or whatever. And we've seen this guy too. The guy who's the Connect from Pittsburgh was in The Sopranos as well. He was the guy that got crippled. That
Yes,
Tony hit with
Beansy.
the car. Yeah,
Yep,
Beansy. Yeah,
yep.
Beansy is the one that's hooking up the hookup from Pittsburgh, and so Karen needs a hit, and like all this kind of stuff. They end up getting back to the house, and well, before they get back to the house, like he calls and he talks to Lois, and he says, before you make the call, you go to an outside line. I think she's got to give the flight information to the people in Miami that she's flying down to. She's got to make sure they know what flight she's coming in on or something like that. So you leave the house and you make that call from an outside line. Do not make that call from home, right? You know, whatever. And sure enough, she hangs up with him, whatever, and says, fuck it. And she makes the call from the house, right?
Yeah.
So that's bad. So he comes home with Karen. They're doing dinner. They're doing whatever. And Lois, he's got to go to Sandy's and like cut the drugs. So he goes and does that. Comes back and is like, all right, Lois, like, let's get you. We gotta tape this stuff to your legs so that you can like get through security, you know, pre-TSA, obviously. And you know, like this is time, it's time. But she says, I'm not going. I'm not going to go on the flight. I need my hat.
Yeah. I'm not going to fly
What?
without my hat.
Lucky hat. And she lives in
She has like a Paddington hat that she wears.
That's true. Yeah. But she lives like in Rockaway, which is like pretty far away, I think, from Queens, which is I think where they still are. But like, yeah, so he's like, fuck, fine. All right, I gotta go. And he stashes the drugs in like the kitchen cabinet and is like, Karen, I gotta go take Lois home. She's like, for a hat? Like what? But he's like, she's not going to fly. He's got to have her fly. So there they go. They get into the car and immediately, here's the funny thing. I noticed, and it looks like Henry doesn't, but there are red and blue lights flashing off of the street, of the house across the street. The second they come out of their house, you can see a faint flash of blue and red.
Oh, funny.
Off on the distance. But as soon as he gets in the car, cops come up to him, hey, you know, like stop, like freeze or whatever and all this shit. And he says in the voiceover, As soon as they said freeze, I knew it was cops.
Yeah.
If it were a wise guy, I would be dead already.
Wouldn't have heard
It
anything.
wouldn't have heard
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, it's very cool.
Oh my God. Yeah. So he finds out and Karen, is freaking out
Yes.
and she's flushing all the coke and stuff, which smart move. Because it's
mean-
not like it was hidden in the walls of the house. It was like
in the cabinet.
behind your DVDs.
In like a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Like,
So so Henry's in jail and he ends up getting out on bail.
Yeah.
Like Karen's
Karen bails him
mom
out, yeah.
put her house up
That's
basically
right.
for
Oof.
Henry's bail. And Henry's plan is like, all right, well, I still get these drugs. I can flip that. I can turn that into something to get us, out of here.
because Paulie's going to be insanely pissed now because now Paulie knows I'm into
Yes,
drugs.
'cause
and
the
so
drug
it's the
beef.
problem. Yeah. So he's like, I got to make it right with Paulie. I got to do this. So he goes home. And that's when Karen, he's looking around for the drugs. He goes, Karen, where's the drugs? And she goes, well, I flushed them down the toilet. And he's like, why would you do that, Karen? And this scene is probably Ray Liotta's best acting of the
So
movie.
intense, the meltdown of it. Like you
Completely.
can feel his agony so much. And it's like more than anything that's ever happened. Like if one of his
Yeah.
kids was killed, he wouldn't have reacted that
Probably not.
deeply.
And the number of different ways you can say, why would you do that, Karen? And he says that line like 8 or 9 times, and every one of them hits a little different.
Yeah.
And it's the range that Liotta's got in the scene is amazing. And it's all this different depth of just, like despair and whatever. And he finally crumples into a corner, right, of the room and is just freaking, because he's like, I got nothing now. There's no way to like fix this.
Yeah.
Which is just, So yeah, so then Karen goes. Oh no, so then I think he goes to
Paulie,
right? Yeah,
and I don't know if this is like for a last resort. I mean, it might be for a last resort bailout.
yeah,
But yeah, he goes to see Paulie, and Paulie said, "Here you go. Like I'll give you the
Money in my pocket.
inch
Yep.
and a half of cash that's in my pocket." And that's it. After this, I have to turn my back on you. That's
right.
So he's like, there it is, an entire life for $2,200 or whatever he got.
Exactly, not much.
Oof. Oh, $3,200
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a lifetime. Not even enough to pay for the coffin.
That's right.
That's what Henry
Which
says.
I was curious about. Whose coffin? Like, I'm not sure what he's referencing.
He's
there,
probably
but-
feeling at that point in the story, but yeah, it is funny.
But yeah, so then Karen goes to see Jimmy and is just kind of like chatting with him, whatever. And like, he's like, oh, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna figure this out, whatever. And they go to leave and he goes, I got some new dresses, some Dior. This, if you want them, you should just take some. Like they're gonna fit you. They're gonna look great. You should just take them. Oh, no, they're not up here. They're down around the corner here. Where'd you go? And so Jimmy goes out and they're out on the street and he's like looking and go, yeah, go down to the corner, go to the corner. And she goes down and he keeps pushing, but he's not walking that direction at all. And she looks in at one point, and I can't even tell what's going on. It looks like a couple guys working on a place, like doing construction or something, or remodeling or whatever. But she's got all the fucking bad vibes. And luckily for her, where she was walking to was towards her car. And so she gets all the bad vibes. Everyone goes, I gotta go, Jimmy. No, never mind. I'll go. And he goes, no, go in there. Go in there. And she knows like she was about to get whacked. Like that was it.
Crazy, creepy. And the way that Jimmy approaches just, kind of very like Silvio and the Sopranos, just like, hey, I'm still your friend. Like right until you're never going to see this, never going to see this coming.
Yep.
Yeah, so they go and they end up talking to. So Henry goes to meet Jimmy.
Yeah,
so
like
this is kind of
diner.
the last attempt for one of his crime guys to maybe help him or just to see what's going on. Because Jimmy's also been asking questions like, what are they talking about? Like, what's happening? When Karen was meeting him, he's like, oh, what are they asking Henry about? And they have this meeting at the diner where Henry's explaining. He's like, we're supposed to meet at this time. I got there 15 minutes early. Jimmy was already there.
Yep.
Like he seemed nervous. He seemed different
Yep.
and all this shit. So he knew like Jimmy was going to kill me.
Well, and this is when then Jimmy says, hey, I want you to go down to Tampa or whatever, down to Florida and whack this guy. You're going to go with, I don't remember who he says, but with another guy. The two of you are going to go down there. You're going to whack this guy for me. And he goes, Jimmy never asked me to whack a guy ever. And we've seen, right? Henry's never been the one to pull the trigger on anybody.
Yeah.
He's not a mafia hitman in any way, shape, or form. So that's when I knew I was never going to come back from Florida. Like he was going to go down there with this other guy. That guy was going to kill him out of town. Like that was the whole plan. And so instead, they go to the FBI and they turn state's evidence.
The witness protection, I love that guy.
Yeah.
The guy who's talking to them,
So matter of
explaining
fact.
how it works. It's very matter of fact and everything. Oh, if you're legitimately bronchial, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
like all
right.
his stuff that he says. And again, this does an excellent job of explaining how the witness protection program works.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you have no contact with these people. Yeah, you're not going to see your parents. You're not going to go visit or any of that stuff. And having to make that decision very quickly.
Yeah.
Really, really intense.
And I like the way, because Karen asks, well, but she says, you want Henry, not me. And he goes, yeah, that's right. We just want Henry. We don't care if you come or not. I actually would prefer you didn't, unless it makes him a better witness to have you there. But yeah, we don't care. But just so you know, when he's in witness protection and you're not, they may not really actually want you, but you're going to be the only way they have to get to him. You're going to be in danger. Like, you will get killed if you don't go into the program when he does, and we need him to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, really tough decision, but then, what are you left with? You're left with nothing else. You know?
Exactly.
So now we're in the courtroom. Yep. So Jimmy and Paulie have been arrested. So they're in the courtroom and Henry is being asked to, could you identify this man? Points to Paulie, points to Jimmy and all that stuff. Yeah. And the other lawyer is asking him something. It's like, do you know what the concept of a rat is? It's like, I don't know anything about being any rat. And then we get kind of a weird, fantastical, fourth wall break. Yeah. Where he gets up from his witness seat. So it just goes to him delivering to the screen and saying, after and talking about his life after this all happened.
And it's like the continuation of the narration has now been put into the scene. And nobody else is paying attention to him as he walks. It's not like they're frozen. It's not like that, but they're just not looking at him as he walks by and kind of giving us the wrap up essentially, of what his life is like now.
It really good when he's talking about his recapping, I used to walk into a place and this would, talking about the grandiosity of his life in the mafia versus now, I asked for spaghetti and marinara sauce. I got egg noodles and ketchup. Ugh. To which my wife, when we were watching this, she was like, you were just in jail for 5 years with a guy who is an expert at making pasta sauce. You can't fucking make your own. That sounds like a you issue.
That's fair. That's fair.
So he's an average nobody. And then for some reason, this is the end of the movie. And then we get a quick flash of Tommy shooting his gun directly at the screen 5 times, and then it goes to the shitty version of My Way by Sid Vicious or whatever.
Right.
It was very weird. Scorsese was like, how badly can I land this for the rest of it being so amazing? I want the last 10 seconds of this movie to be really confusing.
And it didn't make sense. Tommy's dressed in a way we've never seen him. He's got a hat on we've never seen him wear, sunglasses or something. It's very strange. Yeah, I think the idea maybe is that Henry is going to be haunted for the rest of his life by Tommy, I guess, in that life, something like that. Anyway, it really does open us up very nicely to the sequel that I'm sure we'll do at some point, My Blue Heaven, which is clearly the sequel to this movie. We'll get to that at some point. So, okay, that is GoodFellas. That is, and God, it's a lot to talk about, but I mean, the movie's got so much, it's so dense, and packed so full. So this was my pick for us. I'm going to give my version of or my review, I guess, which just feels dumb. I honestly, this is one of the movies we did. I felt this way about The Silence of the Lambs too, where it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to say about this movie? It's GoodFellas. Do you know the movie GoodFellas? If you don't know the movie GoodFellas, you should go see it because it's fantastic. There is nothing I can ask for from a movie that has set out to be a story about real crime in America that this movie does not give me. There's nothing I can ask for this movie. There is not fat on the bone here, even at 2.5 hours.
No,
it's solid. There's no piece of it where you're like, well, we didn't really need that. They cut so much happens. You cut from this scene to the next so quickly with those narrations. There are elements or segments rather of this movie where either Henry or Karen is giving us significant amounts of information in the narration while we're watching a relatively quick scene happen. But we just got as much info as would have taken a true show me only movie would have taken 10 minutes to show us over the course of one instead.
Yeah.
This movie's fantastic. The acting is amazing. The script is incredible. It's Scorsese at his absolute peak. The fact that he didn't win Best Director for this is wild. But or did he? No, that's right. Pesci's the only one that won out of this one. Yeah. For an Oscar. Yeah, it's 5 out of 5. I don't have any notes to give to GoodFellas, and I would feel like a schmuck for pretending I do. This is a 5 out of 5 movie for me. And hopefully I didn't just call you a schmuck. That's not what I meant to do.
Oh, son of a bitch. Let me get to my notes. No, like I said, I really think my only note is that Pesci shooting at the screen at the very end is stupid. Fair. And then that last song, the My Way, Johnny Rotten sucks ass. I think the tone, I mean, you're going for a certain feeling at the end, so I get that, but I would have liked it to end on a smooth, hey, nobody to somebody loves.
Or give us Frank's version of My Way or something, right? Yeah.
Or give us just Henny Youngman just saying jokes. But Jesus Christ, this movie is so enjoyable, so well cast, everything looks great. There's no effects that they couldn't do that they tried to do. So this movie is going to stand the test of time. I don't know what's going to look off about this movie. And of course, you know, there's language things, there's ways that the characters are, but that's the characters. That's not a reflection of the filmmakers' ideas at the time and stuff like that. A couple things here. One thing is that I think this movie, with its explanations of the mechanics of organized crime, enhances your enjoyment of other organized crime material.
Fair.
So like if you've watched this, you're going to like The Sopranos more. You're going to like even The Godfather, like Donnie Brasco, all that stuff more. And the other thing that I didn't bring up, Joe Pesci put out an album. He did a music album in the late 90s. And one of the songs that he did was called Wise Guy. And he's rapping. It's a rap thing.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I think actually that should be the closing music for this episode if we're able to do that. Joe Pesci says, I'm a wise guy. I don't drive by. I just stop by with a couple of guys. So it's really worth checking out. So I'm glad that exists here. Yeah, this movie is really perfect to me. I mean, I don't see how it would be any better. GoodFellas is an absolute 5 out of 5 for me. I love it.
Should be the least amount of shock ever from our podcast, but a 10 out of 10 from the two dads on GoodFellas. Such a surprise. But that brings us to 1991. And Nick, your pick to bring us further into the 90s and 1991. What are we going to watch next week?
Yeah, so I had a few different picks for 1991 and went back and forth. But one thing I realized is now we're coming up on our 58th episode, I think. And one of the bigger stars of the 80s and 90s who I remember just being kind of everywhere and always talked about and stuff we haven't seen yet. And I thought, let's check this movie out. Julia Roberts is escaping some creepy dudes and dating some creepy dudes, and it's a really great fun thriller from the early 90s, kind of a, you know, in the Cape Fear vein, hopefully more in the Cape Fear vein than in the Pacific Heights vein. But I want to check out 1991 Sleeping with the Enemy.
Nice. Okay. I have never seen it, so this will be good. The only thing I know about Sleeping with the Enemy, we talked about it when we did Home Alone. It was the movie that knocked Home Alone off the #1 box office spot after like 16 weeks or whatever. This was the movie that was the first #1 domestic box office movie after Home Alone came out. That wasn't Home Alone, was Sleeping with the Enemy. So I'm definitely interested in seeing if it
We'll see if it's a family fun holiday classic too.
Well, I think by the time that happened, it was like February or something. But like, so yeah, very cool. I love Julia Roberts. Yeah, surprisingly right that we haven't seen her yet in anything that we've done. She's such a cornerstone of the decades. But this will be great.
I saw this one the first time a few years ago, and I feel like it's too good to not be better known.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll enjoy chatting about it.
Sounds good. That's a wrap. So if you like what you hear, please consider heading over to Apple or Spotify and leaving us a 5-star review. It helps new folks find the show. Be sure to check out our website at twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. There you can explore the movies we've covered, sign up for our newsletter, The Rewind, and even get sneak previews of upcoming episodes. We'd also love it if you followed us on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at 2dads1movie. Once again, this has been GoodFellas, another episode of 2 Dads, 1 Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone.